We've got breaking news. It finally happened. Jonathan Kuminga has made his decision with the Golden State Warriors. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's dive into what happened and what this all means for the Warriors and for the rest of the NBA. Shams Charania reported that ending a summer-long stalemate, Jonathan Kuminga has agreed to a 2-year, $48.5 million contract to return to the Golden State Warriors. The deal has a team option. That was a big question mark and a big sticking point in all of this. Team option designed for the contract to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer. Now, that may be the case, but is it designed to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer by the Golden State Warriors? Probably not. In fact, I think we're going to be talking a lot about Jonathan Kuminga trades this season. But the deal does have that team option on it, designed to be ripped up, renegotiated. If Jonathan Kuminga gets traded to a team that he wants to stay at long term, he could come to a long-term agreement with them next summer. They simply would decline the team option and sign him to a longer-term deal. The team option increases the overall value of the contract on the trade front because it does provide a measure of flexibility there moving forward for a team. Should Jonathan Kuminga really fall flat on his face this season and have it not work out at all, then you do have that protection and that you don't have to pay him what would be an average annual value of just over $24 million. You don't have to give him quite that much. You could come to terms on a smaller contract if things don't work out well for him. Now, Kuminga chose this deal. He wanted the 2-year deal, according to Shams, over the 3-year deal, 3 years and $75 million, because he wants to maintain a higher level of control over his immediate future. In other words, whether he finishes the season with the Warriors or somebody else, he wants to be able to get out there and pick his destination and pick what his next contract will look like sooner than if he was under team control for that much longer. The Warriors never wavered on team option frameworks. Now, both sides understand the likelihood of exploring trades when Kuminga is eligible in January. So Jonathan Kuminga is not trade eligible until January 15th. So I know we typically think of December 15th as the start of trade season around the NBA. Most of the contracts signed over the summer are trade eligible December 15th. Jonathan Kuminga's will be January 15th. So the Warriors will have between January 15th and the February 5th NBA trade deadline to move Jonathan Kuminga somewhere else, to turn him into something that makes more sense for their team. I think there is a general belief, and we'll get into that other part of that there in just a moment. But there's a general belief on the Warriors side and on the, maybe not from everybody within the Warriors, but also on the Jonathan Kuminga side, that the best situation for all parties involved is for Jonathan Kuminga to be playing basketball somewhere else. The Warriors just didn't want to lose him for nothing, and now they will have the opportunity to trade him. Now, because of that team option, though, even if they don't find the right deal at the trade deadline this year, they won't have that necessary urgency placed upon them by opposing teams. Opposing teams can't say, well, if you better trade us Jonathan Kuminga right now for pennies on the dollar, otherwise he's walking in the summer, you're going to lose him for nothing. No, now they've got a team option, so the Warriors have that protection that's built in so that if they want, they can have him back next year. Again, it is a team option. So Jonathan Kuminga giving up control to the Golden State Warriors for this season as well as potentially next season. But based on the wording from Shams Charania here, it sounds like there's an understanding on both sides that he's probably going to get traded, and that's going to happen. And then ideally, whatever team they trade him to, by the way, keep an eye on Sacramento, who has long been interested in Jonathan Kuminga, tried to work out sign and trades for him this summer. Maybe that's where he winds up. Ideally, Jonathan Kuminga will get traded by the Warriors to a team that he really wants to go to, and then he'll be okay with that team ripping up the team option and saying, let's come to terms on a long-term deal rather than, play out one more year and then you could potentially leave us next summer in free agency. Shams noting that through negotiations between Mike Dunleavy and Turner, from July to September, Golden State ultimately increased their offer by a total of $8 million in the 2-year framework and guaranteed Kuminga approximately $15 million more than his qualifying offer would have been for the season. So that is a critical piece to that. And I'm going to talk about that aspect of it right after this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code Bulletin. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
All right, so effectively what this means, it's paying him $15 million more than his qualifying offer would have. The qualifying offer, the attractive part of that for Jonathan Kuminga is that it would have allowed him to hit free agency next summer, to be a complete free agent. The Warriors are signing this deal saying, look, whoever we trade you to, assuming that we are going to trade you sometime between January 15th and February 5th, they're probably not going to want you to be on a one-year expiring contract next season anyway. So let's get this team option. That'll make it easier for us to actually get value back on the trade front. And then whoever we trade you to, they're going to want to keep you long-term. They're going to want to do a new deal with you next summer. So that's where Shams puts in the language that the deal is designed to be ripped up. Remember, Shams is probably getting this information from Kuminga's agent. And so Shams adding the bit that the deal is designed to be ripped up and renegotiated next summer. I think the expectation that's being put out there by Kuminga and by Kuminga's camp here is that whoever is going to trade for Jonathan Kuminga, you'd better be prepared to give him a new contract next summer. We don't want that team option being picked up. We're going to ball out this year and then cash in on a contract next summer. Otherwise, maybe you're getting an unhappy Jonathan Kuminga if somebody trades for him and then just picks up the team option on the second year. But again, the danger of doing so would be if you're a team, let's say you're Sacramento and you trade for Jonathan Kuminga and then you immediately pick up that team option and say, cool, now we've got you one more year. Well, then he's a free agent the next summer and you've just upset Jonathan Kuminga. You're not going to want to go into that situation where now you've got a frustrated Kuminga. He didn't get his new contract again, and he can leave you for sure in unrestricted free agency that next summer. So that's the card that the Warriors played here with Kuminga. And frankly, it's very smart. Makes a lot of sense that they went that route. Now, Bobby Marks added in a little bit more here, and that's that Jonathan Kuminga does have that January 15 trade restriction. The Warriors will now sign Al Horford to the $5.7 million taxpayer mid-level exception. We know D'Anthony Melton is also going to sign with them. So they've got a few moves coming here for the Warriors. So they'll get Melton in, they'll get Al Horford in, and then we'll go from there with Golden State. We'll see what else they could do. They will also be hard capped at that second apron. So that means that they're not going to be able to sign a 15th player until the early part of the season because of how close they're going to be to that hard cap. They have to wait for the veteran minimum to prorate. So when we're looking at the Warriors, there's been rumors linking them to Seth Curry as well. By the way, Gary Payton II was another player that they'll sign here. So when we're talking about Seth Curry, can he sign with the Warriors? Yes, on a veteran minimum, but it won't be until the veteran minimum actually prorates. Once we get into the season a little bit, then he could sign with the team. But ultimately, the saga that has captivated the NBA's, well, I don't want to say the entire summer, but the August and September period here in the NBA, it culminates in a deal. Jonathan Kuminga sticking with the Warriors for now, but I think this is a contract designed to be traded. So I would not, if you're a Warriors fan, I wouldn't be going out and buying a Jonathan Kuminga jersey right now. Pretty decent chance he winds up on another team. So I think it's a win for Jonathan Kuminga because you're getting $15 million more than you would have. Ideally, if you get traded to the right place, you're going to get a new contract next summer anyway. And for the Warriors, the most important thing here is they will get something for Jonathan Kuminga. They're not going to lose him for nothing, assuming he plays well enough for them over the course of the season. They will try to find, I'd imagine they're going to be pushing really hard to find a trade partner between January 15th, when he's eligible to be traded, and February 5th. That will be the window for the Warriors to move on. Finally, mercifully, move on from Jonathan Kuminga. And I say mercifully for everybody involved, for the Warriors, for Jonathan Kuminga, please move on, get the hell away from each other, and let's see what happens with both these teams. Kuminga doesn't fit there. He knows it. He needs to be somewhere else to flourish. They need different pieces for them to flourish. Let's get this thing done and find a new home for Jonathan Kuminga. All right, everybody. Appreciate all of you. As I've said, thank you, everybody who has been with us as we've been keeping up with this story all summer long. Please make sure you do subscribe right here to the channel if you have not done so yet. Till next time, see ya and stay safe.